All right, so in the last day or two, I've been seeing a lot of videos. I mean, probably way past the last couple days, probably the last month and a half of people launching what I would say negative impressions of people who are poor. If you qualify for food stamps, you're really, really poor. And blaming those people for needing food stamps is the same thing as blaming a person for being homeless. You don't know what happened. Most of us are just one paycheck away from becoming homeless. Your apartment complex isn't going to give you a break just because you don't have a paycheck. And so when you inevitably lose your job, you're going to need some sort of assistance. And this assistance doesn't come right away. When I applied for unemployment benefits like 5 years ago, they told me it could take a few months. We're only a few days from losing our homes. What are you talking about? A few months. None of these services, the social safety net, come into play right away. These things are delayed. I mean, to the point where it's almost not helpful at all. If something bad were to happen to you tomorrow, the help that you need wouldn't come right away. You would fall into homelessness just like everyone else. The rate of homelessness right now is climbing for one reason alone. The cost of living is out of control. And corporations don't care that you don't have money for housing and food. And I've been saying this for years, but those things should be universal. Universal housing and universal food. But everyone's, at least on TikTok, it's almost like it's propaganda. Some of these videos are so pointed that being a YouTuber myself, I can look at these videos and see there's something wrong in that video. And I'm willing to bet that some of these people are getting paid to say these things. There are always lobbyists against everything that hurts poor people. And I feel like a lot of these videos are right there. They're too clean, they're too sharp, they're to the point, and they're designed to agitate people who see those people as being society's moochers. But how can you look at a homeless person and say to yourself, "Oh, look, there's a person that's eating up my tax dollars"? That's not the way it works. Once you hit the skids and you become homeless, as a person who's been homeless many times, there's nothing stopping you from going deeper and deeper into poverty. And that's why I'm making this video, because it's an unfair portrayal. And sure, some of these things might be true. I worked in a grocery store several times as a cashier, and I've seen the balances. They're huge. I mean, you're talking about a person who just ate $1 worth of hot dogs for breakfast, and that's what I'm going to eat today. I know what it's like to look at someone who's got a whole cart full of really nice food, and you think to yourself, I work full time, and there's no way that I could afford that cart full of that kind of food. So let's get into today's opening monologue. And today's title is going to be Nobody Wants to Help Anymore. Because if you've seen how bad our society's become, no one gives to people begging on the side of the road anymore. No one cares. In fact, it's gotten more cruel out there just in this past year. In this economy, everyone says just ask for help right up until you actually need help. Capitalism is like a group project where you carry everyone until you collapse. And then they ask why you didn't collapse more gracefully. We're all working dead end jobs dressed up as career opportunities, and somehow it's our fault we're broke in a world where rent costs more than our entire childhood home. If you're exhausted, drowning, and pretending you're fine, welcome home. This one's for you. That's it. They always call it drowning. You're drowning in your own debt while you're working multiple jobs. How is that possible? Because these jobs don't want to pay. That was the title of yesterday's video. Nobody wants to pay anymore. And on the flip side of that, nobody wants to help you anymore. The cruelty of taking away assistance to poor people is in and of itself the welfare for the very corporations that hire these people. Why did you have no savings to begin with? What happened that you couldn't put away, as they always say, half of your paycheck for a rainy day? Because that's impossible. Poor people don't have savings accounts. Poor people live paycheck to paycheck, and they're not even making that. Most people have to decide on whether they're going to make a car payment or buy groceries or pay the electric bill, but everything's working against you. You're drowning in debt because no one wants to pay anymore. And the jobs that you thought that you could get, because I thought, at least in my position, this is solely based on me, I thought by now, at my age, that I would have been pretty well off, that I would have started thinking about retirement. But that's not the case. There's no money for retirement. There's no money for leisure. There's no money for savings. All there is exhaustion and the pain and suffering of having the soul suck 5,000 attached to your fanny every single day by corporate America. And every time you try to hide a little bit of your soul that you want to keep for yourself, corporate America finds a way of extracting it too. Because at the end of the day, you come home from an exhausting day at a place that's made certain at every single turn that it doesn't like you. It doesn't like you in any conceivable way and wishes that your labor was even cheaper. Because profit for them, poverty for you. And it will always be that way. And when you come home and none of your soul's left inside of your body because it's just been ripped out of you, and somehow you have to find the energy to go back the next day, it's nearly an impossible task to stay positive in a world where everything is negative. The no motivation syndrome is a fancy way of saying that everyone is depressed because everyone's struggling out here. There isn't a single working class person out here who doesn't have help from a parent or a significant other that isn't in the same boat. We wake up depressed and we go to bed depressed. Last night I woke up at 1 o'clock and started having nightmares all night long. And the only thing I could do was take something to shut my brain off, because otherwise I was just going to be rolling around in nightmares nonstop. And why is that? Because we're being crushed mentally by a society that doesn't give a crap about what it's doing to everyone that's not rich. Every time I watch a TikTok video of someone complaining that they need their food stamps, I think to myself, is that what I'm doing on YouTube? Is that what I do out here? I come out and I complain about the wages and the toxic environments and the fact that there are no real jobs anymore. Jobs used to mean something. Jobs meant working for 20 years and then retiring peacefully. Now you're going to work 60 years while paying on a 50-year mortgage that most of us can't get. Can you imagine paying on a 50-year mortgage that you get when you're late 30s? The system's designed to make you fail. It has greased the wheels to make certain that you fail at every point that you keep trying. And then they have the audacity to call you lazy and entitled because you didn't make it and you're on the street. And that's the sweet transition, is if you're not making it, the punishment is homelessness. Talking point number one. I got to pull up this window a little bit so I can see the timer, because if I don't look at the timer while I'm talking, I will go off on a tangent forever. That's why I have to have talking points. The real poverty line isn't income, it's silence. You're allowed to be poor, you're just not allowed to say you're poor. The second you speak up, society acts like you're passing around an emotional disease. Well, guess what? I've got a new name for this channel. Emotional disease. You're here for the dystopian hellscape. I'm here to spread the emotional disease that poor people should be quiet. Because the second that you let someone know that you're poor or that you need some sort of social assistance, whether it's Section 8 housing, food stamps, or unemployment insurance, other people look at you like you are the scum of the earth. That's the way that we feel about people who have to take handouts. The people that are standing in line right now at a food bank hoping to get a box of food are the people that mainstream society looks at as complete and total failures, even though more than likely they're going to use that box of food to feed their kids. And again, as I say in every video, kids are innocent. Kids don't choose to be born to irresponsible parents who have no way of getting a good job. And the worst part is it's a cycle. Poverty is systemic. The lack of opportunity is systemic. Kids often grow up and mirror their parents, which is sadly, you would think that a person like me, who has all the education in the world, would have done much better than parents who didn't speak English, no education, and clean toilets their whole life. But when you look at how much success I've had compared to my parents, it's not even close. There's been not a single vacation in my entire adult life. From when I started working till now, there's never been a single day in which I've gone somewhere on vacation. Why? Because that's not part of the poverty lifestyle. It is a lifestyle to live down here at the bottom. It's not a choice. Once you live down here at the bottom, there's very little chance of escape, because escape requires resources, it requires connections, it requires being able to scratch your way out of the wage cage. But the system doesn't want you doing that. Why would a job pay you enough so that you could escape it? That's not the point of the average $16 an hour job. It's not designed to help you in any conceivable way. It's designed to feed you just enough so that you don't bite it. But at the same time, you're drowning. You're drowning in every conceivable way, and you know it. Because these nightmares that I'm having every single night are my brain telling me, you're in trouble, Millennial Steam. You're in trouble. Red alert, you're in trouble. And what can I do? You can't find a better job. No one wants to pay people a living wage. In fact, most businesses are going in the opposite direction. They want to make certain that they destroy all your hope inside of your body. And this is why I say we don't have a soul anymore, because it's intentional. It's intentional the way that they've structured things so that they keep a certain part of society practically begging for enough resources just to stay alive. You're not thriving in your enclosure. You're living in silence. And anyone who speaks up is that emotional disease-filled creature. Emotional disease is basically leprosy of the poor people. We're all dying down here because we don't have the resources to be able to do better. And we're not allowed to access those resources because they're behind very tall fences. Talking point number 2. The only thing more expensive than food right now is hope. They tell you to stay positive while you're choosing between groceries and gas, and if optimism can be used as legal tender at checkout. As if optimism can be used as legal tender at checkout. I don't know how I feel about that statement. I know that many people have given up hope, even though this morning I opened up the news first thing when I got on my computer, and all it is one scandal after another, after another, after another. And we knew that this is what the news was going to look like because we've been through this before. This time, it feels like someone just threw gas on the fire. I don't know how this ends, but I know that there's going to be a dark period in U.S. history books. In 20 years, when kids are going to be talking about, it's like, was it really that bad? And we're going to be able to say, yes, we lost hope in a system where you couldn't walk into a grocery store and not have a heart attack, where you walk around in a grocery store and you look at the prices. Like yesterday, I was buying hot dogs and I'm looking in the case and I'm looking at $10 for a lot of items. inside of that case where they keep the hot dogs and the sausages and the bacon. And you're just like, who can afford to eat this stuff anymore? It's like you buy one thing and then you get out because you're not going to fill even a handbasket anymore. If you're not rich or you don't have thousands of dollars worth of food stamps coming into you every month, it's just not possible. I mean, when you look at what the average person does on a regular day, is put gas in their car so that they hopefully get a Promobile that can get them from point A to point B. You eat whatever little you have. And I would say that the main staple of the American diet right now has become ramen. And then you pay your rent and your bills. And that's it. And then you sit in the dark like I'm doing right now. This is what our lifestyle has become. We don't do anything except for work. And in that scenario, hope is long gone. Because if the best job, most people right now are doing the best they can with the resources they have, and that's their education. Everyone tries to advance themselves to the highest aptitude that they have. But a lot of people don't have any aptitude. They don't have the ability to access higher level work. And a lot of it has to do because they don't have soft skills, they don't have tech skills, they don't have any skills. I've met a lot of people that I would never, ever hire in the workplace. Lots of them. I would say that the vast majority of people who have a job right now are clinging to it, hoping that their name doesn't show up on the list for what do I pull? How do you? I forget what this term is called. A reduction in workforce, a layoff, and sometimes they come in mass. I've seen, since I've worked at McDonald's, I think I've seen 4 or 5 where you just have 50 names that show up, and it's like these are the people that don't work here anymore. And you ask yourself why? Well, someone up there, someone in accounting or finance, someone up there made the decision that these people don't work here anymore. I mean, there's even one lady that I've known that has been laid off 3 times. And she keeps reapplying for different positions in different parts of the company. But in between, there's always those months and months. And you look at her, I remember her face the first time that she got laid off. The look on her face is, I can't believe they did this to me. The second time, the same thing. The third time, you ask yourself, it's like, do you understand that no matter where you go, you're going to get laid off? And that's happened a lot with the tech industry, is that people who thought that they had the right skills are seeing themselves being laid off from jobs where they thought, and again, they thought, they had the audacity to think that they had some job security. And some people have had to change industries, move over to another very volatile industry, which is finance. And in that industry, they found no comfort either. It's like, no matter what you do or how hard you try, there's no such thing as being able to avoid being financially strapped. And not because you did something wrong, but because corporations want to maximize profits while making certain that ordinary people are suffering. This is the suffering that we see out there right now is intentional. Every time I pass a homeless person on my drive to work every morning, it's a warning sign. You better show up, you better keep your mouth shut, and you better accept the fact that there are no raises here. You just show up, we attach the Soul Suck 5000 to whatever part of your body we feel like today, and you better accept it. Because if you ask for anything else, you're an ungrateful piece of crap, and you will be termed on the fact that you are ungrateful. That's the world we live in. And it's very unfortunate that we have to live like this. But there are no long-term solutions for any of this. As much as you guys want to keep asking me in the comments, well, how do we fix this? We don't. All right, let's get into our closing monologue before I hit the 20-minute mark, which is right about now, 20 minutes. Nobody wants to help anymore, not because you're unworthy, but because everyone's terrified of being the next one who needs help. It's safer to blame you for drowning than admit that the water is rising for all of us. So here we are, a generation of people silently collapsing while telling each other to stay positive through foreclosures and outrageously priced eggs. If you're struggling, it doesn't mean you failed. It means the system succeeded. Sit with that for a second and then say it out loud, because the only thing more dangerous than poverty is pretending it's a personal problem. That's the big one. Poverty isn't a personal problem. It's a systemic problem, a problem created to benefit the people who directly don't care whether or not you live inside of a house while you work. When people are sleeping in their cars while working full time because they can't afford rent, that's a systemic problem that needs to be addressed. I don't know how, but it does. Everything that hurts us in our society isn't building character, it's punching us in the face.